With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the board agenda, and I should note that Ms. Freeze is not here, but is anticipated to be here.
Okay. Then we need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Mac, second by Dale.
Brett.
Brett. Sorry. My hearing is off with these little bubbles here.
Yeah.
Okay, motion by Megan, second by Brett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. And our presentations are capital project update.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Matt.
Michelle, you with us tonight?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, good evening, everyone. Congratulations on starting another school year. We have had a lengthy summer, as you've seen over the course of June, July, and August. A lot of work went into Prospect Elementary, and I think if you were to walk over there today, or if you've been over there in the last week, it has come miles from where it was in the middle of June. Tonight, we're going to talk about what's been finished, what we have left to do, and then Michelle will close us out with a brief discussion on the contract closeout for phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 1, same scope of work, high school, Seneca, bus garage. The parking lot was finished, substantial completion was 8/31. I don't know if Hunt's on the call, but we did receive an RFP notice from Hunt that they're going to issue an RFP for additional light fixtures to go on these poles out in the parking lot. What style, how many, we haven't seen that yet. This is basically hot off the presses at 5 o'clock this evening. So that should hopefully take care of some of the darkness. We haven't seen any photometrics yet, but that's what we'll be looking at when Hunt provides the RFP. But that is the layout of the new parking lot. Phase 2, Prospect Elementary. Rich is obviously taken over for Jim, and I'm gonna let him give you the update what we did there.
Great news, we finished the kitchen on time and the whole building substantially complete on 8/31. The kitchen has been up and running. Everyone, they cooked their first meal on Monday. Only cooked one last week. It was just short and sweet. To test everything, all equipment's up and running. Everything's tested, owner training complete. Working on punch list items in the kitchen with all contractors in September and October to get those wrapped up. As you can see, when you walk through the main vestibule, coming to the main corridor, you've got the library entrance. You have the computer entrance with the big Prospect signage. looks amazing. You're able to see the nice terrazzo finished floors. We are working on punch lists through all the corridors, throughout the corridors and the library in September and of October as well. Last board meeting, we weren't really sure if we were going to have the countertops in time, but we were going to have a temporary solution. We were able to get the countertops in time, caulked and ready to go. Right now, we are, if you look at the top left picture, you got the unit vent that we are trying to condition the building and balance the building. And every morning I walk around with Dee Brown and UNS to see where we have hot and cold spots. Unfortunately, we had a really cold morning this morning. So we are working to get that resolved. Gail keeps me updated on a day-to-day basis. So we're wrapping up the heating and cooling, working on getting that condition throughout the building.
3.1, which is the high school parking lot, or excuse me, roofing, and the Seneca parking lot.
So where we left off in the last board update, we had your rubber membrane was over the entire roof when we last updated you guys. The metal fascia, the perimeter metal that you see around the perimeter of the building, that was what we had left to do. We were able to get that substantially complete by 8/31, which was ahead of the contract substantial completion date. Now, what you might see out there is there are still some red flags for perimeter safety on the roof. We do still have some punch list items to take care of up there, and those flags are there for protection for the workers to identify the leading edge of the roof while they're up there.
3.2, Betts Park.
Phase 3.2. So I'll just walk you through kind of left to right here on the screen with the photo. So bottom left, we were able to get some of the field equipment installed, the field goal posts and soccer nets up on the multi-purpose field. The middle picture there, we started some of the exterior upgrades, some of the siding on the building, some of the repointing of the exterior block. And then on the bottom right, that's inside of building A and some of the team room bathrooms. We completed the in-wall mechanical rough-in and blocking, and we actually started drywall since then inside that building. The roof for that building has also been completed as well. So since the last meeting, we talked about the A-Turf contractor coming back to get working on the baseball field. They returned the first week of September. And while we're in here right now, they're actually finishing up the infill process and grooming of the baseball field, gearing up to go to the box lacrosse fields and your batting cages towards the end of this week, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and they're expected to be done by the end of September. And then the custom Pantone color for the Warrior ended up coming in when A-Turf returned. They were able to get that installed within the first couple of days. Now, when this picture was taken, they didn't complete the infill process around the Warrior, so that's why it looks like it's a little bit off the shade of green there in that photograph, but that infill since has been completed. And if Levi has another drone session out there and takes another snapshot, it should look the same contrast across the whole field within that center Warrior.
So that's the progress we made in the last month. Michelle, if you're on the line and want to talk about closeout.
Yes, can everyone hear me?
Turn it up a little.
Turn it up, so yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now? So you guys have the volume up a little bit?
It's our end, Michelle.
I think it's on our speakers.
You think it's my end? Let me try losing the headphones here because I have some headphones on. Just trying to avoid the back noise in the office.
Rob, how do
Can you hear me better now?
No.
No, it's not going on. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Michelle, hang on one second. We're just having some audio difficulties on our end.
Stop sharing. Get the.
Yeah. Yeah, stop share. And then go there. Very good. And then choose. It's at 100. Oh. This happened earlier today.
It worked.
Try that one. Turn that one way up. Never try again.
Hey, Michelle, try again.
Yep.
Perfect.
Can you hear me better?
Way better.
Yes.
Good. So with phase 1 and phase 2, we are working through the closeout process with changes with the subcontractor. For phase one, we have 18 open changes. Of those 18 open changes, 10 of them are in final paperwork. 8 of them are with the contractors, need to be submitted to us. Of those 8, 2 of them are fairly new. At Prospect, we have 41 open changes. Of those 41, 23 of them have to be quoted by the contractor, so final quoted. Some of them are revised and resubmit. 18 of them were quoted in the last 2 weeks and are with Turner for review. We don't have any right now that are going through for signature. So with the total, phase 1 and 2, we have roughly 60 open changes to close out. Our goal with those is to get those finalized by the end of October here to start financially closing out both phase 1 and 2 by the end of the year for Karen and her team. Any questions on the
Either
changes?
financially or the project that we
Matt, I
have?
just have a question with regard to the high school parking lot. What specific phase is that? Is that 1?
This is phase 1.
Okay.
This is the 17 contract.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So how many spots do we have in the parking lot? Do we know?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20.
I'm pretty sure I asked that question for the Salamanca parking lot before, and you guys didn't know the answer to that either.
Yeah, there's things we just don't count.
The Seneca lot is approximately 76 parking spots, and I believe, if I recall correctly, approximately, depends on how people park. And I believe the high school lot is 230.
There's probably like 100 and between 120 and 140 spots. I didn't count the ones around the outside, but just looking at those main 3 rows. Just counting what's there now.
Yeah,
Teresa asked the question, not me.
we'll confirm that number.
We'll shoot that back out to the finance committee and then Bob and Mark, so you guys have it, can share it. We are in that process of closing out, and that's going to be the main focus here the next 2 months. From a punch list standpoint, we did walk Prospect, we did walk the roof, the exterior, we did walk this phase, and we're in the process of managing over 600 punch list items. So part of that process for us has been to take that information, categorize it by contractor, get it to each one of the primes, but also take that and help the prime and break it down to their subcontractor level so that Rich can send it directly to the subcontractor and just send out the information all at once. In lieu of waiting for them to take action with it, when we send it out, it's just adding another person to the email. So hopefully that increases the rate at which these items get done. This is always probably the hardest part of the job to finish, but that's our focus right now as that's wrapping that up for the fall.
So I have a question on the lighting too for the parking lot. Why didn't we realize it was going to be so dark?
Hunt, are you on the phone?
You might need to use a mic.
I didn't see anybody, I just see Michelle. So was there not a photometric study done?
Teresa, I can't tell you how Hunt designed that, but I can tell you they're typically an electrical engineer takes the light fixture, selects the number of lumens it projects, runs a photometric across the site, and then realizes that, hey, if I only have 2 lights here that give off 18,000 lumens and that photometric comes out to the red car, and this does the same out to here, I'm gonna have a dark spot in the middle. That's something that's not a published document in the design. That's really something that the architects and engineers do in-house, and then they set the fixtures and off we go.
Isn't it a code requirement to make sure there's enough lumens for the photometric study?
It is a code requirement of the architect to design to a certain level of lumens, but that's not anything that is provided outside of their design side of the table. When you look at the Seneca lot, the fixture head on the pole is different from this lot to that lot. The fixture that's in the Seneca lot has a lumen of 25 to 27,000, depending how many, depending on what the electrical feed is to it. These are in the 17,000 range.
So from what you received today, are they adding more lights or are they just making them brighter?
Teresa, I want to clarify, we haven't received anything. I got a text from Jeff that said, we're going to issue an RFP. So what that text said is we're going to issue an RFP to add more light fixtures to the pole. So our response now is, hey, what's the photometrics look like? Does that get light all the way to the center? Does it correct the problem? And we haven't had that dialogue back and forth yet. This was just something that came over at 5 o'clock when I was asking if they were going to be parked tonight.
So did they just send it to you or did they send it to you and Mark too?
I have to check my email, but I don't recall seeing anything from them.
Teresa, it was just a text that I got in response to, hey, are you going to be here tonight? And then when we had the conversation, I said, well, I think you should be prepared to talk about these two issues. The other one that I asked him about was the electrical emergency lights that are in some of the classrooms that are Mark's favorite. And I got, as a response, we're going to be issuing an RFP for additional fixtures for the high school lot.
So right now you're saying we're out of code compliance.
Yes.
And right now you're saying that nobody on Turner on the construction management end actually reviewed the documents before this went out to bid. The design you would have seen for full compliance, either through civil drawings or the electrical drawings, would have shown the photometrics. This is at the 13th hour out of 12.
Carrie, I would disagree with you that I've been doing this 20 years and I've never seen a photometrics included in a set of contract documents for bid. That's something that the engineers do
I'll
in-house.
disagree with you because I've been doing this along the same amount of time and I've seen it routinely.
That's okay. I will agree to disagree, but we weren't provided the photometrics from Hunt on the layout of the parking lot for any phase.
So basically, we're gonna have the lighting at these poles now as bright as the sun, just to try to reach 150 feet out in the middle where there are no lights.
We're gonna have to ask Hunt that question.
That was my question too. It looks like, what do we got, just 6 lights?
There's 4 light poles out here. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I'm not an architect, but doesn't seem like it's quite enough.
It's not.
I got another question back over to Bet's part.
Shoot.
You said they were gonna be starting the lacrosse box turf. Do you have a photo update on the lacrosse boxes?
No, because it's just stone. They have the ring done on the first field and they're completing the second ring. They're finishing the stone bed. It was strong today. They're doing fine grade tune-ups on some of the undulations in the stone bed. And they're gonna start that next week. So we didn't take a picture just to show you the stones.
Okay. So are they putting up the boards first and then the turf, or the turf? and
No, turf, then boards.
Okay.
Anything else tonight?
Anyone else have any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have our safety school reopening presentation.
Sure, so I'm happy to provide an update of where we are with our safety and education plan. Today marks the 10th day of e-learning and our second day of hybrid instruction. So yesterday we had our students return at approximately 14% capacity. And we had, obviously everything went exceptionally well. There were a couple of transportation concerns that came up with regard to students at bus stops, taking temperature and process, but we worked through those. All of the students entered the campus through a common door. Temperatures were taken for a second time if they were on the bus. We had an awful lot of parents who dropped off, and we had a tremendous number of staff members who were outside to greet them and assist with the traffic flow. That's something that we typically don't see, particularly at Prospect and Seneca. but that worked really well with our sort of staggered start time. We have about a 20-minute window where parents are dropping students off. So because of that window, we don't have all students coming in exactly at the same time, which helps alleviate some of the traffic concerns that we get, both with vehicle traffic as well as student traffic coming in. I do want to make a note for our transportation staff. They have done an absolutely outstanding job of greeting our students, helping with the social distancing on the buses. There was a relatively significant amount of stress that goes around with ensuring that we get, especially our youngest students, on the correct bus, seated in the proper manner, and everyone checked in and then dropped off at the school. That sounds like it should be a simple process, but on the very first couple of days of school, there's always a tremendous amount of stress. Our bus drivers are some of the most caring individuals that we have in the district. They really have done a great job of ensuring student safety from the time they enter the bus to the time that they enter into our school. I want to express my current requests over the past 4 or 5 days. Most of those requests are students who are currently e-learning, asking to come into the hybrid model. So we're starting to see some of those numbers come up. We're going to begin to phase those individuals in. We had, up to this point, sort of rolling changes, meaning if someone indicated that they were looking to go from hybrid or some 100% e-learning to hybrid, we would say, okay, on this particular day, Wednesday, the 17th, per se, you would start to get picked up. The problem is that logistically, that's very difficult. So we're going to start having them sort of come in deliberate waves, because when we have a transportation change, that affects everyone that's on that route. We also have food service changes as far as pickup and delivery, and whether or not a student is going to be eating in the building or picking up for a 4 or 5 day stint. So there's an awful lot of coordination that goes into this. More information will be coming out really on Monday as far as how those sort of phases will happen. So when I say a phase, it'll be, let's say Monday the 28th, we will start the next group of students who wish to come into campus. That way everybody knows who to expect and how we can have transportation and food service support for that in a little bit of a more smooth manner. We have been running the help desk every day since the 1st, so this is really our 10th day of help desk, and that is a phone line that is really just open. Mrs. Smith answers the phone, and then we'll take the information and direct that so that there's a person-to-person contact. We do have some outstanding help desk issues that are mostly hardware related, but we have maintained contact with parents, and I'll say if there's parents watching, if you have not been contacted by us in the past 48 hours and have an outstanding tech issue, please just call us again and we'll get right back on that. As far as PPE, which is our personal protective equipment, as we mentioned last meeting, we still have abundant supplies. What you see in front of you are the new polycarbonate barriers that are in most of our classrooms. We have additional ones that are coming. These are can be fixed to desks, but for the most part, our students have been using them sort of portable so that they go from one location to another. They just simply pick them up and they can take them with them. This does not eliminate the need for masks to be worn to as close to the maximum time as possible, but it does offer just one more barrier and layer of protection, which is especially important, especially with our related services, such as speech and OT and PT, where individuals are many times in more close proximity to students than the 6 feet. At this point, I just open it up if there are questions or concerns that have come about, but I do want to once again express my gratitude, especially for our support staff and food service, and I'm sure Mrs. McGarrow will mention her food service and the great job that they've been doing, but just one more shout out to our transportation department, who really has done a terrific job over the past several days.
Does anyone have any questions for Mark? Okay. Let's move on to public communications. Is anyone on for Title VI? Okay. Then move on to central message. Karen, do you want to start?
Sure. And like Mark said, I'd like to, really thank the the kitchen staff for stepping up and getting stuff in and out of here. And I'd also like to remind the parents that the pickup is on Monday from 11 until 1. And we need to make sure that the food is getting picked up at that time, because once it's beyond that point, we need to actually throw that food away because the temperatures are longer controlled. So we need to make sure that anybody that signed up for meals is picking it up between 11 and 1 at their designated locations. If they did not sign up, they can come down to the high school and get their food here. Other thing I wanted to let you know is while everybody was chatting, I did a real quick count on the parking spots at the high school. And if I counted correctly, there's 216 spots, 10 of which are handicapped. And then lastly, the desks that were up for giving away, I guess you want to call it. I was going to say auction, but it really was an auction. Only 50% of them were picked up. So the remaining are going to be donated to the Seneca Nation because they had requested about 30 of each type of them. That's all I have.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Karen? Okay, Dr. Beeler, you have anything else?
Just a note for anyone who's watching this or any of our parents, please feel free to give us a call if there are concerns, especially regarding the technology. I do want to acknowledge that this isn't really a highly stressful time for everyone involved in education. Simply coming back to work and the inability to interact the way we normally do has caused some just general communication, slowdowns. But I want to acknowledge that our teaching staff has really stepped up. They've done an absolutely outstanding job in working with each other, working with administration, and working with our students and parents. Our administrative team has really been working day and night. There are an awful lot of logistics that go into opening school back up, from transportation and food and educational resources and security and the technology that all needs to happen and coincide. And offering education now in a hybrid format, totally e-learning format, and then a learning hub format really makes that significantly more challenging. So I just want to acknowledge that there has been a tremendous amount of work that has occurred by our teachers and by all of our staff, and that they've really stepped up and we've had a very successful start.
Thank you. Let's go on to our Board of Education message. Barb, you have anything tonight?
I'm just enjoying what I see on Facebook.
Oh, Barb, can you hit your mic?
I'm just enjoying all the educational things I see on Facebook, and I enjoy the prospect of those. And I know that having made a comment to one of the teachers that was very highly appreciated by that teacher. It's interesting to see that. When I was driving home and every day, I noticed that the Olean School District had a very inspirational message on their like we have our digital sign out there, have we done that or do we do something like that for the community?
Yeah, we have some limits with what our sign can do digitally. It's pretty narrow and that sign's pretty old.
Okay.
So in terms of putting on graphics or anything.
It wasn't we are all together, but it was this check on everybody. It was just and I thank you to the whole community for everybody stepping up. Everybody have a successful year.
Thanks, Barb.
Yes.
Sue? Well, microphone. Don't forget.
I'd like to commend the teachers and the students for making it so easy. It looked like they knew exactly what they were doing, and it worked out very well. I'm very glad that the kids seem to go with the flow. So the teachers are just always. Thank you, teachers and students.
Thanks, Sue. Mike?
Yeah, just echoing Marvin and Sue, thank you to the teachers, despite actually. This is now the second week of watching Gloria's teacher, Ms. Fisher, wrangle and keep the attention of an entire class of kindergartners on Zoom, which I would never want to do ever. And she does it wonderfully, to do all the other it's really great too to see just on class pages to all the teachers that are working in unison with each other with the math and the ELA assignments. They're doing a really, really good job with those things. I also want to commend the parents and the grown-ups. I like that term that the teachers use. It's grown-ups, it's really inclusive. They're there in the background too, having to keep the kids attentive. It's a team effort. And then the kids too. Zoom is draining. So the children that are e-learning, I mean, it's just incredibly draining, and they're committed to it and very focused. So just nothing but appreciation for everyone involved. The administration, staff.
Thanks, Matt. Brad?
I just want to say my kids are definitely excited to be back at school. I want to thank everybody for their relentless effort. Everybody safe. That's all.
Gary?
You know what, I'm good tonight.
Are you sure?
All right, Dale, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Our administration, our entire staff, parents, kids, everybody. Thank you for having the patience and commitment to start this year off the way you're starting it off. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for everybody, but I think we're all meeting that challenge, and I think we're doing a pretty good job so far. So thank you all, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, Gary.
Oh, sure.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everybody said, I just want to thank everybody for being so patient. This is a very unusual start to the school year that we've ever had. And all the teachers, all the parents, all the administration, just thank you. It's from the 10,000 feet, it looks like it's running like clockwork. So keep up the good work.
Thanks, Dale. I agree. Thanks to everybody that's helping make the year successful as we start out. It is really tough, and I do really want to acknowledge all the parents that have had to put in all the extra hours that have gone into the e-learning. You're working your jobs, at least most of them are. And I've watched in my office parents taking lunches so they can go make sure their kids are on Zoom meetings. And I like the term grown-ups because they're not all parents, but they're there to help make sure that the kids are as successful as possible. And again, we all have to work together. And I think the teachers, the administration, just like you said, the bus drivers all the way down to the food workers, we're really helping making sure that the community is taken care of. And I also want to say that the food drives too for the food pickup. Wow, what a great thing for the community. There's tons of food, and if parents haven't had a chance or grown-ups haven't had a chance to participate in that, it's really a great program if you can get over to pick up the free food. I mean, you get produce and dairy, meats, and if you're a parent that's struggling or a grown-up that's struggling to help feed your kids, make sure if you can, find somebody to go over and pick up that food, because it really is a great thing that the district is offering. I'm not sure what other districts are doing that, but I've heard nothing but positive feedback there. So thank you, everyone. Bob?
Yes, a couple of items. There was a question that I'll get to in a second on the chat after we've closed out public comment. So I will address that, and I do have some information. A few other items before I get to sports is I do really want to also echo and thank the staff at all levels, all titles, all credentials. To say that everyone has rallied on this all hands on deck event is really an epic understatement. And when I see the things that are happening here, and then I talk with my colleagues across the state and across the country, I am ever optimistic at the great work that we are doing. And I want to personally thank everyone. I can tell you that when the staff had lunch last week, compliments of the Board of Education, they were thrilled, they were delighted, they were filled. A few of them commented to me that now they need a nap because they're so full, and I do want to thank the board for allowing us to do that, to recognize all of our staff, but also I really do want to thank Jackie at Harvest Moon for being so accommodating and packaging everything up individually to keep everyone safe. Those little gestures and touches go a long way, so I do want to thank everyone involved. It is great to see kids back on campus. And as Mark noted, I think we have approached this intelligently with a safety focus, a wellness focus, and an instructional focus. And it is going well. And as we look to expand our on-campus footprint, we're going to continue to go slow. We're going to continue to go safely. And we're not going to get over our skis and get into trouble. I thank everyone for their patience on the parent perspective for allowing us to do this safely but slowly so that we don't have to slide back like some other organizations are now finding themselves having to do. You will note, board members, that you have your strategic plan in accordion format. This will be mailed out to the community. It's a great document. Dozens and dozens, and probably hundreds of hours went into the development of this over an almost year-long study, and this will be going out and getting mailed to the community members. And then we are working on stage 2 of this and talking about the individual breakout groups and getting those scheduled in the very near future, hopefully in person and not via Zoom. And I do want to address some enrollment issues quickly. Enrollment continues to increase, and as of today, we are at full capacity for our UPK program. If we receive more students, which is very likely in UPK, we will be looking at a redeployment of existing staff to create a new UPK section, or redeploying some of our teacher assistants to make sure that those numbers are stable. We did have 2 students that registered for UPK today, so that brought us up to capacity. We have never in my time as a superintendent in this district been at 4 sections of UPK. This is a good thing. It's a problem to have to create a new section, but it's a very good problem to have, and that bodes well for the district's overall enrollment, and that parents of all ages are trusting us with their children, and that can only be described as a really good thing. Lastly, athletics. There has been a lot of conversation about athletics. There is what I believe will be the final meeting tomorrow at the Section 6 Athletic Council meeting, of which I am our sectional and league representative as superintendent, so I will be attending that meeting tomorrow. It is an incredibly long, robust agenda, but today school districts from all across Section 6 made a declaration of what their intent is with athletics. It's non-binding, but tomorrow we fully expect that the Athletic Council will make a decision for athletics. You may have seen across the region some school districts have opted to start some sports, and others have decided to not do some sports. I did see one district that opted for soccer and tennis and cross country, but said no to swimming. Our plan is we are moving forward with the potential for athletics, for cross country, tennis for girls, boys and girls soccer, as well as girls swim. We have been meeting regularly with our coaches, and later this evening in our board retreats, Mr. Morton and Mr. Bartosek will be talking to us about what that looks like from an athletic coaching standpoint. That said, the section could still, between now and next week Monday, put the kibosh on everything. And if that were to happen, then obviously we would have to relook at what our plan is. We can't do it unsanctioned. The last piece with regard to athletics is, as the restrictions are somewhat released and relaxed, there has been a higher uptick of community groups seeking to use our facilities, both indoor and inside and outside. And that is a conversation that we'll have later this evening at the board retreat to talk about those logistics and to make sure that we can keep our kids safe and our buildings safe and our building clean. But right now our focus is going to be on internal Salamanca athletics and not external community groups coming into the building until we can be safe. At least that's my position. We'll talk more about that. But as of right now, tennis, girls soccer, cross country are a go, and girls swimming are a go for the 21st. Our merged sport team for soccer with Cat Little Valley. I understand, and Mr. Morton will likely talk about this later, that Cat Little Valley, which is the host for boys soccer, has elected to continue to do soccer, but not start until September 28th because of some other logistical issues. I have spoken with their superintendent a few times over the past week about the logistics, and we're prepared to continue that merger because of numbers and safety. And I'm sure Mr. Morton and Mr. Bartosik will be able to answer some more specific coach and athletic team questions when we get to our retreat later this evening. And that's all I have.
So my question is, so this is starting out, these are just the fall sports, not winter?
Just the fall sports are starting on the 21st, excluding volleyball, cheerleading, and football, which are deemed high-risk sports. Right now, they will go in, I believe, what they're calling Fall 2, which starts March 1st. I didn't make up Fall 2. That's New York State. So
How would that interfere with spring sports?
that's an awfully good question. I'm sure we're going to get some more of that information tomorrow at Athletic Council.
Okay.
I don't have that answer.
Well, I just know that, you know, especially with our school, we have a lot of athletes that play fall and spring sports. So how is it going to impact the schedules? Because I'm sure they're going to want to do both, and it could hurt the programs depending on it if they have to choose. So that's
I agree, Teresa, and I share those concerns. And the devil will be in the details as to what it looks like. Hopefully, the concern will only be scheduling and timing, and not scheduling, timing, virus, and right track analysis.
And then the only other comment is Levi was kind enough to send me the next food distribution is going to be September 16th from 11 a.m. It'll be at the bus garage again, right on Sun Avenue, 11 a.m. until dawn. So spread the word and let people that might be
Did everything go?
That's Levi, can you answer that question? Do you know?
Yeah, we originally ordered 8 pallets of dairy, 8 pallets of meat, and then we also had about 7 or 8 of the produce. It was a slow start, but by 3 o'clock, everything was gone. When the semi actually arrived, it was a full 18-wheeler tractor trailer of food, which was about 18,000 pounds, equaling about $60,000 in food.
You know, we don't always know. We have an idea of what we're going to get at any given time, but sometimes they, like last week, they surprise us, and it's a very good surprise. But sometimes we know when they unload.
And I ordered the same thing for tomorrow, so I mean, they told us whatever we need, they'll do their best to get it. So we'll have another full 18-wheeler full of food again.
Awesome.
It was good quality food. It was very good quality food last time.
It wasn't. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Barb.
Second.
Second by Carrie. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. We have no old business, new business, our Medicaid contract. We need a motion to approve our Medicaid contracts. Motion by Meg, second by Sue. Are there any questions on these contracts or anything we need to know? Okay. We have a motion by Meg, second by Sue. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. And item B is our consulting agreement with David Springer. So I think we had talked about this before last week, right, Mark? Can you just?
Sure. So this is the second year that Mr. Springer will be working with us, primarily after hours to assist with some of the activities that occur in the STEAM wing, including our adult education program, consulting with the robotics team. He's retired from Dell, a resident of Salamanca, graduated. I won't say when he graduated, but he is a Salamanca graduate. He offers the ability for us to really expand our STEAM offerings and some exceptionally realistic hands-on experience from the industry.
So again, it's nice to have somebody that is a Salamanca alumni coming back, offering to give back to our community. So we need a motion to approve the consulting agreement.
Motion.
Motion by Dale.
Second.
Second by Brad. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Teresa, I had a question.
Oh, sorry.
What was the term on the contract?
Can you say that one more time?
What was the term on the contract?
It's a yearly term, so we go from July to June.
Okay.
It might be from August to June now because of COVID, but it's a 1 year.
Yeah, well, I think it said starting on September 1st, but it wasn't end, that was all.
Okay.
I'll get you.
Okay, any other questions? So we have a motion by Dale, second by Brett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. And our contract with,
You want me to put the dates in there?
yes, please.
9/1, 8/31. Oh, that's.
Thank you. Our contract with Frederick County School-Based Probation. So we need a motion to approve that contract. Motion by Meg,
Second.
second by Dale. Are there any questions on the contract?
Yeah, I just had a question. Is there really a need for this?
Yes, we have, I spoke with Mr. Siebert, that was the exact question I had when he had brought that forward. We had probation here a number of years ago, and then the population changed. We currently have 23 students that are in either diversion type programs or other probation sponsored programs at the high school level, grades 8 through 12. This will allow the county to have someone stationed here. Mr. Siebert assures me he has space for them when they are here. And for our students that otherwise they would have to go to Cattaraugus or some other place, which could be a potential travel hardship for the family. So we've had them here in the past, but there are 23 kids that would be accessing these services.
All right, you answered my second question. It was going to be, do we have space?
That's my first question is why, and my second question is where.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? We have a motion by Megan, second by Dale. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. And our SUNY Fredonia MOU, we need a motion to approve the contract.
Motion.
Motion by Megan, second by Barb. Are there any questions on this contract? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. And item E, we're creating new positions, one full-time junior accountant. So we need a motion to approve the creation of this position. Motion by Sue.
Second.
Second by Brad. Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. And item F, one of my favorites, are change orders. We need a motion to approve the change orders.
Motion.
Sorry.
I'll make a
Dale?
dramatic pause.
Yep. Motion by Dale, I need a second. Second by Meg. Are there any questions on the change orders?
These did all go to the finance.
Yes, they did go to finance. Okay, so we have a motion by Dale, second by Meg. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. And item 8 is our personnel consent agenda. So we need a motion to approve the personnel consent agenda. Motion by Brad. Second by Meg. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Need any introduction, Bob?
None of these individuals are here tonight on the call, but I do want to thank Jeff Hitchcock for his service to us. He was a great addition to the Prospect family, and we wish him well as he moves, I believe, out of state to pursue a really good career opportunity.
Okay. Then item 9 is just our board information, reports and discussion. And our upcoming events, we have our next Board of Education meeting on October 6th. Our Indigenous Education meeting on the 14th are the next two. And then we will go into our retreat. Motion one, or you don't, right? You don't, not executive. Okay.
He can, if you feel better. Okay. That's covered, but I don't.
That's fine. And item 10 is our retreat.
Thank you, everyone. We will not be conducting additional business this evening, other than the retreat.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you. We'll take a short biologic break and then we'll convene.